There is a quiet power in the world that most people never see. It is not the roar of the loudest voice, nor the fury of someone determined to be right at any cost. It is subtler. It is the command that comes from calm, the authority that grows from patience, the influence that emerges when fear is transformed into presence. History has shown this again and again. Leaders, innovators, and visionaries who spoke not to dominate, but to inspire, who moved crowds not with force, but with understanding, whose words resonated not because they were the loudest, but because they were aligned with truth, courage, and empathy. Consider Abraham Lincoln, a man often underestimated, who faced ridicule, division, and despair. He could have shouted louder. He could have demanded obedience. Yet he chose calm. He chose deliberate words, measured pauses, and a voice anchored in conviction rather than ego. In doing so, he did not merely lead a nation, he commanded its respect, its trust, its loyalty. People listened, not because they feared him, but because they felt understood and guided by someone who refused to be ruled by anger or haste. Confidence is inseparable from this presence. But it is not the brash, aggressive confidence that the world mistakes for power. That kind of confidence collapses under scrutiny. True confidence is a quiet force, a deep certainty rooted in preparation, self-awareness, and mastery over your own mind. It speaks in calm tones, gestures with subtle authority, and moves decisions without needing to dominate. Thomas Edison, through countless failures and ridicule, never needed to prove himself in anger. He simply persisted, quietly confident that his work, his vision, and his understanding of human curiosity would eventually resonate. That is the power of calm confidence, the ability to influence because people sense steadiness, clarity, and conviction, not because they are coerced or intimidated. Even in everyday life, the principle is the same. The colleague who disagrees with you, the client who doubts your ideas, the friend who challenges your perspective. These interactions are tests of presence. Do you react impulsively, escalating tension, or do you respond with patience and intent? Do you argue to be right, or do you speak to be understood? Every word you choose, every pause you take, shapes the perception others form of you. Calm is magnetic. Panic repels. Clarity inspires. Chaos divides. When fear is converted into composure, hesitation into deliberate action, you do not just communicate, you lead. Listening is a cornerstone of this influence. Most people wait for their turn to speak. Most are consumed with defending their own position. But mastery begins in listening, truly listening, observing body language, hearing what is said, sensing what is unspoken. Franklin Roosevelt understood this when addressing a fearful nation during the Great Depression. He spoke slowly, intentionally, recognizing the anxieties of millions. His words carried weight, not because they were clever, but because they resonated with the human heart, acknowledging fear and transforming it into hope. People do not follow loudness, they follow understanding. They do not obey pressure, they respond to empathy. Empathy itself is a strategic power disguised as compassion. When you understand the motivations, fears, and desires of others, your influence grows exponentially. Carnegie wrote that the deepest human need is to feel important, to feel recognized, to feel heard. When you approach every conversation, every negotiation, every interaction with this awareness, you transform potential conflict into opportunity, resistance into collaboration, indifference into alignment. Calmness, confidence, and empathy form a triad. When mastered, it is almost irresistible. People are drawn to those who inspire without pushing, guide without commanding, and influence without aggression. Even in moments of confrontation, this mastery reveals itself. A heated discussion with a coworker, a tense debate with a client, a personal disagreement at home. These are the arenas where calm authority proves its worth. The individual who maintains composure, who chooses words with intention, who listens before responding, is far more effective than the one who dominates with volume or anger. Influence, then, is not measured in victory or concession, but in the ability to move people toward understanding, cooperation, and trust. And this is not passive. It is deliberate, it is conscious, it is strategic. To speak with calm, command, and confidence is to transform fear into presence, doubt into clarity, and hesitation into leadership. It is a practice, a discipline, a way of being that shapes every interaction, every perception, every outcome. Those who master it do not just communicate, they transform relationships, inspire loyalty, and leave a legacy of influence that outlives their voice. Every interaction you have is a stage, and every word you speak is a performance of influence. The world responds not to noise, but to presence. When you carry yourself with calm, when your voice carries conviction instead of desperation, people instinctively lean in. They sense stability, clarity, and authority. This is why some leaders inspire devotion without raising their voice, why innovators persuade skeptics without argument, and why ordinary individuals achieve extraordinary results simply by mastering the quiet power of their presence. Influence is not about domination, it is about alignment, aligning your words, your intent, and your empathy with the hearts and minds of those around you. Confidence becomes tangible when fear is transformed into composure. Fear is not a weakness, it is a signal, a guidepost, a reminder of the stakes. But the moment you harness it, the moment you choose patience over panic, observation over reaction, your presence becomes magnetic. People listen not because you shout, but because you embody certainty in a chaotic world. Just as Lincoln calmed a divided nation, just as Roosevelt lifted hope from despair, you too can turn hesitation into authority, anxiety into clarity, and doubt into trust. Calm, command, and confidence are not traits you are born with, they are skills you cultivate every day, in every conversation, until your very presence becomes an instrument of influence.